I, 21M, have been with my girlfriend, 20F, for just over 2 years now, and what I'm about to write has been eating at me for months. Honestly, I've tried to be the perfect boyfriend. When we met, it was instant chemistry. We locked eyes at a party during our freshman year, and it was like the whole world around her faded. We talked all night. From that night on, it felt like we couldn't be separated. We moved in together around our 1 year anniversary, despite the usual warnings from friends and family. It felt right. We were so close, so in tune. She'd always talk about how she never clicked with someone the way she did with me. She'd cry sometimes just talking about our future marriage, kids, all of it. It was intense and passionate, and I loved her so deeply. But living with someone opens your eyes. And slowly, I began to notice things I either ignored or chalked up to stress or her mental health. She has anxiety, severe anxiety. I tried to be supportive. I read books about anxiety, watched YouTube videos, asked her what she needed when she was having a moment, but nothing was ever good enough. She would lash out when she felt overwhelmed. The smallest inconveniences would set off days of tension. I remember once I forgot to bring in her favorite smoothie from the car, and she didn't speak to me for 2 days. She said it was about how little I cared. I thought maybe therapy would help. She started therapy briefly, but never stuck with it. Claimed it was too exhausting, that her therapist didn't understand her. Meanwhile, I was working 40 hours a week, going to school full-time online, and managing all our housework. Laundry, cooking, cleaning, all on me. She stopped going outside, she skips most of her classes, she sleeps in until 2 or 3 p.m. every day and spends the rest of her day doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram. She complains constantly. Every single day there's something someone wronged her. The world is unfair, her professors are cruel, I said something the wrong way. It's a never-ending loop of negativity. And here's the part that makes me feel like a piece of shit. I'm not attracted to her anymore. She's gained a noticeable amount of weight in the last year. I know that sounds shallow, but hear me out. It's not just physical, it's emotional. She gave up on herself. She refuses to do anything for her own mental or physical health. If I ask her to go for a walk with me or come to the gym, where I go 3 times a week, she accuses me of calling her fat. She cries and says I don't love her anymore, so I stopped asking. I just try to make dinner, keep things clean, go about my day, and avoid setting her off. I've become numb to her breakdowns. She cries constantly, over everything. I used to hold her, comfort her, talk her down. Now, I find myself zoning out. I don't have the energy anymore. I know I sound cold, but it's like living with a never-ending storm cloud. I can't breathe. She had an art presentation recently. She asked me to come. I told her I had to work. I literally couldn't miss it without losing hours. She broke down, said she couldn't go alone, screamed that I didn't support her, and locked herself in the bathroom. I heard her vomiting from crying so hard. That night, she accused me of sabotaging her success, of being jealous she had talent. I just sat on the couch in silence. What makes this harder is that my family loves her. They think she's adorable, sweet, creative. We don't fight in front of them. Hell, we barely fight in public. She's a completely different person around others. Bubbly, funny, charming. My nephews call her auntie and cling to her. My mom pulled me aside recently and said, "You better marry that girl, she's a keeper." If only they knew. We've signed another year-long lease together. We're financially tied. I pay the majority of the bills because her income is from the GI Bill her parents transferred to her. I can't just walk away without screwing myself over. Plus, I don't even know how to leave. She's so unstable. What if she hurts herself? She's told me before during arguments that if I ever leave her, she doesn't see the point in going on. I feel like I'm trapped in a life I didn't sign up for. I wake up every day and dread the moment I hear her feet hit the floor. I time my shower so I can have silence. I find excuses to stay at work later. And the worst part, I'm starting to resent her. She's turned into someone I don't even recognize. Or maybe she was always like this, and I was too blinded by infatuation to see it. I fantasize about packing a bag, leaving a note, and disappearing. But then I see our photo on the fridge from when we went to that cabin last winter, the last time I saw her truly happy, and I feel like a monster. I don't know what to do. I'm too young to feel this dead inside. If anyone has been in a similar situation, how do you leave when you're emotionally manipulated, financially entangled, and expected to play? So I, 20M, and my girlfriend, 20F, have been dating for 2 years now. We have two very separate friends groups. She's always had male friends. So it definitely bothers me when she's out hanging out with them and talking to them. They have been friends since before we met. So I feel hesitant in asking her to stop hanging out with them, but I do mention it whenever something happens that makes me uncomfortable like them, calling or texting her in the night. Just to put it out there, I don't have a single female friend, not one whoever I used to talk to before we started dating. I cut them off. She usually always respects my boundaries and doesn't do stuff that makes me comfortable. But recently, their entire group went through something traumatic. It's the loss of some childhood friend. My girlfriend wasn't really close to him. But one of the guys from her friend group was the guy and him were best friends. So we were all gathered after we heard the news. I was with her when she got the news. So I went along when she met up with her friends. She hugged the guy who was best friends with the one they lost, and it did not seem like a normal friendly hug. It lasted for like 2 or 3 minutes. His hands were tied around her waist. She wrapped her arms around his shoulders and was caressing his back. His jaw was settled deep in her neck and shoulders, and I'm not going to lie, it definitely bothered me a lot. It felt like watching her cheat on me right in front of my eyes. I was conflicted because at one hand, I had to console her because maybe not close, but she did lose a friend. And on the other hand, every time I would go near her, I could only picture her hugging that guy. So later that night when we went back home, I talked to her about this and told her that it bothered me the way they hugged each other. I told her that she could console him from a distance. There was no need to get that close. And that hug was not friendly. There's definitely something lingering back underneath it. Maybe I should not have said that, but I was really mad at the time. Well, she got infuriated and asked me to leave. I thought that I should apologize, but I don't really think I was wrong. She crossed the line and I had to point that out. I didn't call her that night or the next day and just assumed that once she cooled down and realized her mistake, she would reach out to me, but she never called. So on the third night, I called her demanding answers as to why she hasn't reached out yet. She told me that she didn't think this relationship was going to work out any longer and hung up. I tried calling her back and realized I was blocked. I don't really think that's fair because whatever I did was not out of jealousy. She made a mistake. I pointed that out. What did I do wrong? I think she assumed that because she was mourning, that makes it okay. What should I do?
My boyfriend and I are both living abroad and met at a previous workplace. Coincidentally, we have the same home country, so had a lot of similar views and traditions. We started dating in January 2023 and became a couple in March 2023. We moved in together after 6 months because both our roommates were moving out, so we decided to leave too and look for something together. My, now ex-boyfriend had recently asked for my hand in marriage to my parents and to my grandparents while we were visiting our families back at home. I know this because my granddad couldn't hold his excitement and didn't really get the concept of keeping it a secret from me. So I knew he had plans to propose. He is religious. I am not. but he finds it important to marry for the eyes of God. He's an evangelical Christian. I was never keen on the concept of marriage, but I honestly was convinced he was my person and was willing to do this because I know it was important to him if he were to propose. Now, fast forward to 2 weeks ago. Did I mention we have a dog together? So on the Wednesday, he was picking up our dog from doggy daycare and I saw his broken phone laying in our room. I'm not proud to say I looked through it because I usually don't do these things, but I felt that something was off in my stomach. I looked in his phone and found a few emails to escorts in the country we live in. I also found one transaction to an app I had never seen before in his app store, and turns out he had downloaded 3 live webcam apps and paid on one of them while I was asleep. He took accountability for the webcam thing, but he claimed the escort thing, although the emails were sometimes months apart, that he messaged for his friend. I didn't believe him, so I gave him multiple opportunities to tell me the truth. He didn't. The next day, I found more proof. I confronted him again. His story changed that sometimes he just likes to make fun of these escorts when he comes across their ads. I don't know about you, but usually I don't come across such ads unless I'm on the wrong websites. Again, gave him the chance to own up to it without success. On Friday, I thought to myself, okay, if this is everything, I'll be able to get over it eventually as long as he's willing to work on it and change and take accountability for his actions. He claims he did. On Saturday morning, I went through that phone again and I found out he had been contacting escorts for the entirety of our relationship. He started doing it during the corona pandemic in 2020, way before he met me in 2023. And he just never stopped. The phone I checked he only used for 6 months out of the 2 years we spent together, so imagine what I would have found on his previous phone that he lost. I found phone calls on nights he was out with friends to escorts in that region. I was able to trace back the number to her escort profile. She was Colombian, so there was clear intention to cheat. She didn't pick up. He made 2 attempts, so it doesn't get more clear than this. On another night he was out, there was also a transaction to a Colombian woman of 70 euros. He claims he bought 5G to roll a joint. He also looked for glory holes in this country. I just feel gross. He told me I wasn't allowed to talk to my parents because they would hate him forever if we choose to work things out. I did tell my parents on Sunday because I'm really close with them over FaceTime and they were absolutely stunned. He's the first person to judge cheaters, but then he has been doing this for years. Even when we were on a holiday to Athens, he told me he couldn't sleep well there. Now I understand why, because he spent the entire night looking for escorts and brothels nearby while I was asleep next to him. I broke up with him on Sunday, one day before our 2-year anniversary. I got tested straight away on the Monday. My blood came back negative. I'm still waiting for the other test to come back. He claims he never actually went through with it and he just looked at it as porn, but he clearly has a problem. There is so much free porn. Why on earth would you do this if you're just looking at it like porn? I recently found out that my mom is having an affair. I've read the messages, most of them were romantic and full of I love yous. Any sexual conversations were probably deleted. I don't want to know if she's been physically involved with him or not. I've seen the guy's picture. He's an ugly married man and a colleague of my mom. I'm not going into detail about how I found out, but I did confront her. I talked to her as calmly and respectfully as I could. I tried explaining how this could affect her, me, my stepdad, and our whole family. It's just wrong. I kind of understand why she did it. Me stepdad works in another state and only comes home a few times a year. They're in an arranged marriage, and they have very different personalities. But still, that doesn't justify her actions. She told me she'll try to be a better mother, but I believe she's still in contact with the other man. She deleted all their chats and call logs. I've always been closer to my mom than my stepdad. He's not very emotionally expressive, but he does support me in many ways. I'm in my mid-20s, unemployed, and currently living at my grandparents' house with my mom, so I'm financially dependent on her. When I found out, it was a gut-wrenching feeling. I don't have siblings or anyone else to talk to about this. I told my mom she needs to tell my stepdad. She offered to call him right away, but I told her to wait until he comes home so they can have the conversation face to face. He has diabetes, and I'm worried this could affect his health. Plus, one of my grandparents recently had heart issues, so I don't want to involve the family unless absolutely necessary. I'm also trying to stay as uninvolved as possible. I feel really disappointed in my mom. This has given me trust issues. I'm afraid she'll twist the story when she tells my stepdad, especially since I didn't take any screenshots before she deleted the evidence. Right now, I'm thinking about getting a job and moving out. My mom has supported me and has generally been a decent mother, but I guess she's a shitty wife. I just don't get why she couldn't behave like an adult and talk things through instead of doing this. I don't know what else to do, god damn it, with this situation. Me and my BF been together for 10 years. We have 2 children together also. He knows all my trauma from my past relationships, like how I was constantly cheated on by my ex-husband and cheated and abused by my ex-boyfriend before him. So with all that being said, I had serious trust issues and he knew it. I was very open and honest with him. I used to go through his phone all the time to pacify my insecurities and never found anything. I was in therapy working on my shit, and after a year and a half into our relationship, I decided to let my guard down and just trust him. When I did that, our relationship just became so much easier and better. Fast forward to a few years ago, my lil brother took his own life, and I was struggling real bad with it, not to mention to try and stay sober because I've been in recovery for about 8 yo at the time. My addiction to opiates started when I was 18 yo, and my older sister took her life. So when my brother did it, I just isolated myself. I literally stayed in bed all day, every day. For almost a year and a half, it was like we were almost just roommates, BC. I didn't even talk to him, I barely acknowledged him, and no, I wasn't even having sex with him. So after a year of this, he started actively seeking out other women on the internet from like Listcrawler or Skip the Games. Now he never followed through with any of it, but still it hurt. BW I only found out. BC, I went to cancel an app from my daughter's phone and it was his old phone, so it was linked to his new one, and I found a dating app on there. Now, he stopped entertaining the tricks, but thought it would be okay, though get FT shows BC, it was like porn. I had to tell him he'll know. That is considered cheating to me. But he did text a couple of women and got prices, but he said he never followed through with it, and I checked his financials and everything. But he did it again after he had already hurt me and I was ready to leave, but he said he would never do it again, and so far he hasn't. He gave me full access to his phone and computer along with passwords. I forgive him, but if literally drive me crazy thinking about it, BC, he broke my trust, especially when it was so hard to give him my trust in the first place. Like, we're talking about marriage and I still don't trust him. I feel like a sucker, but I do truly love him, but I'm finding it hard to move past it. Like, I can't honestly say I understand why he stated it in the first place, and I'm not taking all of the blame, but he's a man and he has needs. But my thing is, talk to me or try and help me move forward from my brother's death instead of thinking about cheating. What's your thoughts on this?